County School Board taking heat from dozens of frustrated parents tonight.
Scott Smith, a father in Loudoun County, Virginia, was arrested at a school board meeting.
Without question, Loudoun County Public Schools in Virginia is now the center of the national debate over progressive policies being implemented in public schools. With each passing month, skirmishes between parents and school board members over educational wokeness seems to get more and more heated. If you've been following this story, you may remember that back in June, a father got into an altercation with law enforcement and was subsequently arrested at a Loudoun County School Board meeting. You may also remember that left-wing activists and the National School Board Association tried to make him into the face of crazed radical parents at local school board meetings across the country. But now it's clear that there's far more to this incident than meets the eye. As exclusively revealed by the Daily Wire, this dad had reason to be angry, because a month earlier, his 9th grade daughter was allegedly raped in the girls' bathroom by a gender-fluid boy known for wearing skirts around the school. And instead of helping the girl and her family, elected officials in Loudoun County pressed on with their ambitious agenda, allegedly covering up the incident and publicly refusing to acknowledge that anything had happened in the first place. Instead of listening to this father, the school board demonized him, letting the world believe he was a crazed far-right activist intent on intimidating them. On May 28th, Stonebridge High School called Scott Smith to tell him his daughter had been in a physical altercation at school. Once he arrived, he was told that his 15-year-old daughter had just been sexually assaulted in a bathroom by a male student. The school indicated that they were handling the case internally and keeping things in-house, according to his account. When Smith discovered that his daughter had just been sexually assaulted, he understandably became enraged by what he perceived as a lack of action, and the school called the cops on him. When Smith's daughter was taken to the hospital, a rape kit was administered and appeared to confirm the worst possible news, that she'd been sexually assaulted. Although juvenile court records are sealed, Smith's lawyer confirmed to the Daily Wire that the alleged assailant, a 15-year-old boy, was charged with 2 counts of forcible sodomy, 1 count of anal sodomy, and 1 count of forcible fellatio. Like any good father, Smith, a middle-class plumber who said he doesn't actually have strong political views one way or the other, was deeply disturbed. So when Loudoun County School Board met on June 22nd to talk about a controversial transgender bathroom policy, Smith and his wife showed up, even though there were no slots left to speak. They wanted to tell their daughter's story. At that meeting, one school board member dismissed the concerns of Smith, along with other parents who didn't agree with allowing biological boys in girls' bathrooms. She implied those people were prejudiced against the trans community.
Do we have assaults in our bathrooms or our locker rooms regularly?
The superintendent went so far as to say, quote, "The predator transgender student simply does not exist." After the meeting ended, a heated debate ensued between Smith and other parents who supported the bathroom policy. Some of those parents, according to Smith, had been active on an infamous Facebook group that had tried to dox parents who were skeptical of the school district's progressive policies. Smith says one of those parents threatened to ruin his plumbing business on social media and flatly denied that his daughter had been raped. The exchange became even more heated after that, and it was at this point that police attempted to intervene, grabbing him by the arm. When he yanked it away, he was quickly wrestled to the ground and arrested for disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. Soon, images of Smith's bloodied face and disheveled clothing went viral on social media. The incident began a prolonged nightmare for the Smith family. They had no choice but to install temporary fencing around their home to keep the media off their property. And night after night, he saw his bloodied face plastered on the news and in local newspapers. Nearly every report on Smith failed to mention why he was at the meeting in the first place, or any details about the horrific assault his daughter had allegedly been the victim of. Buddha Bibaraj, Loudoun County's top prosecutor, took a personal interest in Smith's case. Even though it's typical for such minor charges to be quickly dropped, Bibaraj, who'd run on a platform of ending mass incarceration, threw the book at the middle-class small business owner. Months earlier, she'd let a man facing charges of strangulation and assault on a family member get off on a $5,000 unsecured bond, only for him to murder his wife with a hammer a few weeks later. But apparently, she didn't have the same mercy for Smith, whom she tried to get jail time for, along with a hefty fine. But just a few weeks later, the 15-year-old boy who'd allegedly raped Smith's daughter was not in jail. Instead, while the investigation was pending, he was simply transferred to another school in the district. And it was here that he allegedly assaulted another girl, this time forcing his victim into an empty classroom and holding her there against her will and sexually assaulting her. Since the Daily Wire reported on the story, the Loudoun County Sheriff has confirmed that 2 assaults did in fact take place, regardless of what the school board said. And they also verified other important aspects of Smith's story. Now, school administrators in Loudoun County have been the subject of renewed local and nationwide ridicule. Fight for Schools Loudoun County, which has already been pressing for a recall of the entire school board, demanded that all members resign. Lawmakers like Congressman Dan Crenshaw called the story heartbreaking, and encouraged parents to keep the pressure on. Gun rights activist Dana Lash noted that the administrators who allegedly covered up the rape are the real domestic terrorists.
You want to know who the real domestic terrorists are? It's these school boards, and it's people like Merrick Garland terrorizing parents.
Loudoun County's justice system poured time and manpower into arresting a victim's father and trying to lock him up in prison. Unfortunately, the story at the federal level is much the same. In a letter to the Biden administration, the National School Board Association used Smith as an example of parents trying to intimidate school board members. The White House agreed. President Biden's Department of Justice released a memo urging FBI assets across the U.S. to look into harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against administrators. But if we've learned anything from watching the thousands of parents across the country who've stood up to school board members over critical race theory and LGBTQ ideology in schools, it's that backing down is not an option they'll consider. We've seen it over and over in Loudoun County, and we'll continue to see it across America. I'm Cabot Phillips with the Daily Wire. You can read the full story at dailywire.com. Thanks for watching.